61 are being treated in intensive care. The Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Tony Houlihan, says the number of people receiving critical care in hospital is concerning and is at its highest number in ICU since April of this year. And the French president says a new trial could be arranged for Ian Bailey in France. In 2019, a Paris court convicted him in his absence of the murder of Sophie Toscan du Plantier. France has failed to get him extradited from Ireland and he has never been charged here. Speaking in Dublin today through a translator, President Emmanuel Macron says Sophie's death in West Cork was a tragedy.
Should the person condemned agree to come to France, a new trial could be organised.
That's it for now. We'll have more in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Go to a Premier League game this year with daily flights to London, Liverpool and Manchester.
Staying dry with mist and fog forming again overnight. Lowest temperatures of 11 to 14 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball
with Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
You're very welcome along to Thursday Nights Off the Ball. It's Richie McCormack here with you right through until 10 p.m. tonight, and tonight is a very, 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 very busy show. It has been a golden day for Ireland at the Paralympic Games, with Ellen Keane producing a brilliant display in the pool. We'll be talking to Niamh Talon from hersports.ie and hearing a little bit more from Ellen as well, I guess, during the news round with Cathal upcoming. We'll hear from Republic of Ireland manager Stephen Kenny. He has named his squad for the upcoming 3 World Cup qualifiers, which begin in Faro next Wednesday. We'll preview that game specifically with Tom Cundert from World Soccer. He looks after Portuguese football for them. One of that chosen few, without wanting to give you too much of a spoiler, is Dara O'Shea. He is going to join us live on the football show tonight. The West Brom defender is going to be with us. We're going to preview a thrilling final half of the Formula 1 season. Rebecca Clancy from The Times in London will be on the line to us a little bit later on as well. And it being Thursday, the one and only John Giles is going to join us live on the line. Plenty to talk about with him from the world of football over the past week. I was going to say the past 24 hours will probably fill us enough in terms of what we have to speak about with John. If you want to get in contact tonight, if you want to speak to us, 53106 for 30 cent is our text number. You can tweet us at Off The Ball. My name is Richie McCormack. As you know, Cathal Mullaney joins us in studio for the news round. Good evening, Cathal.
Evening, Richie.
Me and Joe have swapped roles for the evening. Joe is in my house for tonight and I'm in Joe's house for the news round. Joe Molloy, you are very welcome. With the sun streaming in on his face, it's doing wonders for you.
I am in your boxers. Hello, Richie.
Thank you very much. Listen, somebody has to wear them while I'm going commando tonight. Today has been a mental day, Joe, in terms of news. I went into today thinking we're going to have, fingers crossed, some success in terms of the Paralympics, and we're going to have an Ireland squad announcement, and everything after that is going to be, gravy. What has come afterwards has just been insane. I guess chief among those insane stories has been the potential of Cristiano Ronaldo to be moving back to the Premier League and specifically to Manchester City. From a Juventus point of view, this seems to make a whole lot of sense because they can pay off the fee that they still have outstanding to Real Madrid for his services, which I believe to be in around 28 million, 30 million quid, and get him off the wage bill, which I imagine they probably need to do fairly sharpish. From the Ronaldo point of view and from the clubs involved on the other side of it, I'm still trying to see the sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem Man City are keen. Juventus are looking for maybe 25, 30 million. They have that down the back of the couch. And then about 250 grand a week. Again, for Man City, is that really going to spook them too much? I mean, as bizarre a thing as it is to say, not really. It does seem he's not that happy in Italy for various reasons. And Miguel Delaney was on with us last night, and you start to run out of super clubs. That is the way football is going. So Spain, not really an option. Real Madrid have Kylian Mbappe in their sights, and obviously Barcelona, for a variety of reasons, isn't going to happen. PSG, and then you're into Man City territory. So it seems like Jorge Mendes was going around and asking around, and pretty quickly you arrive at Man City, and they seem up for it. I mean, Miguel was making the point again last night, which is fair enough, that this kind of high energy, high pressing style that Pep Guardiola might like doesn't really apply to 36-year-old Ronaldo. But he will just score a gazillion goals, won't he? I mean, that's why it makes sense for Man City. They lacked a focal point, I thought, in particular against Spurs. Ferran Torres did his best and everything, but they lacked real nous there. I would think there are ways for City to adapt Ronaldo. I can just imagine him finishing off so many chances, so many moves, crosses pulled back to him. And I mean, it's just amazing that it looks like it's going to happen. And boy, will Man City rub it in Manchester United faces.
Yeah, it's slightly different to the cross City channels. Without one to jump all over City's name on this one, but we've seen people do it before. The Peter Schmeichels and Dennis Laws of this world have done it before. It kind of seems a little bit different in this age of social media that Cristiano Ronaldo would pitch up at Manchester City, and it seems like spurring the chance because, there seemed to be talk that he could go back to Manchester United. It seemed to be a little more than that. Now it seems that United have kind of missed the boat in terms of maybe getting this guy for the last Indian summer of his career.
Yeah, it seems Manchester United are far more focused on getting a midfielder. I mean, they have Cavani, they have Greenwood, they have Rashford coming back. Do they really need to pay Cristiano Ronaldo about 300 grand? Personal favourite, of course, of the moves across was Carlos Tevez. And he held up some very offensive sign to Alex Ferguson or to Manchester United at the time and everything. And then Man City had to come out and apologise. So, I mean, it's weird. I guess it won't go down brilliantly with those at Old Trafford. What reception would he get? Probably lukewarm, I'd say, now at this stage.
Yeah, he was going to return. Like we saw before when he returns to Old Trafford in another gear, essentially, with Real Madrid or Juventus, that he's welcomed back as a hero, and he's this guy that provided them with a few years of really top-level entertainment and a few good memories as well when you consider that Champions League that he helped them win. But now, like, if he comes back with anybody else, that's fine. Coming back with Manchester City, it's an interesting atmosphere because he's not somebody that essentially shies away from playing for his current club. He's not somebody with the muted celebration. You'd imagine he's somebody who will revel in everything that he does in a sky blue jersey if it does come to pass.
I just googled it quickly there because I couldn't remember what was the sign that Carlos Tevez did hold up. I was trying to find it, and wonderfully, I mean, it's dark. This is 2012. Carlos Tevez at the Manchester City parade held up a sign saying "R.I.P. Fergie."
You don't do that.
Not really, because Ferguson had been asked, would City ever be top dogs? And Ferguson had said, not in my lifetime. So that was the context, to be fair. It wasn't that like, Ferguson, you're old, so I'm going to hold this up, or you're finished in this town. But look, there's two ways of doing it. You can try and keep both sets of fans happy, or like Carlos, you can go all in.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how that one pans out. We'll have John Giles to cast his special eye over it as well after 7:30. We'll talk about Portugal, more specifically with Tom Cundert in the football show tonight after 9 p.m. But Cathal, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it has been a fantastic day for Ireland. The gold medals just keep on coming for this little country.
Yeah, it certainly has. Team Ireland has its first medal at the Paralympic Games today. Ellen Keane took gold after winning the SB8 100 metres breaststroke in a time of 1 minute 19.93 seconds earlier on today. The Dubliner smashing her previous personal best by almost 2 seconds in the final in Tokyo. Bronze medalist in Rio 5 years ago, the 26-year-old held off the challenge on New Zealand's Sophie Pascoe. She qualified in first place from the heats in a personal best time earlier on today in a time of 1 minute 21.71 seconds. Elsewhere, good performance from Limerick's Roisin Rian, also setting a new personal best in the S13 100 metres backstroke final. The 16-year-old finished in 6th place in a time of 1 minute 8.61 seconds. In equestrian, Rosemary Gaffney and Verona failed to progress in the Grade 4 individual test after a 15th place finish, while in Grade 5 Tamsin Addison and Fahrenheit finished in 12th position in that event today. There was a 6th place finish for cyclists Katie George Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal in the B1000 metres time trial, while in the elsewhere Ronan Grimes came home in 15th in the C45 100 metres time trial, and Colin Judge received a walkover in his scheduled Class 3 table tennis singles match and is back in action tomorrow.
Joe, Ellen has been no stranger to this particular show. I mean, she was on as recently as Monday. She's a fantastic ambassador for Paralympic sport, for sport in general, and you couldn't help but be thrilled for her this morning seeing her collect gold in that race. Yeah,
she's a legend. Really great person. Just delighted for an amazing achievement. I mean, she made her Paralympic debut, as people know at this stage, as a 13-year-old in Beijing. That was back in 2008. She won bronze in Rio, and now in her 4th Games, she broke her lifetime PB in the heat and then smashed that again in the final. It was an awesome display. I mean, to do that in, your heat and your final is really impressive. And what's more, I hadn't realised, obviously, how would we, but when she jumped into the water, her goggles, we've all been there, you've had that sensation, her goggles flooded with water. And what can you do? You got to just push on. But she was pretty interested in that. She says maybe it wasn't such a bad thing because she couldn't see anything, obviously. She couldn't see anyone around her. So she just had to focus on herself and her own rhythm and how she wanted to swim the race. And she was saying afterwards that I tend to rush my stroke when I'm trying to go fast. I'm a strong person, and if I start to rush my stroke, I actually don't get any power from my legs. So it was just about being long and strong and in control, and not seeing anyone around her in her peripheral vision just allowed her to concentrate on, not rushing her stroke and, 2 BBs and a gold medal. I mean, it's amazing because, she's been doing this since she was 13, and obviously a few years before that, it's the culmination of a lifetime's work, and you want to do it when it counts. So gold medal, no one can take it away from her. As you said, brilliant ambassador, one of the more high-profile Paralympic athletes, and always pushes the Paralympic Games and the achievements of those in the Paralympic Games. I feel when it's not not highly visible. So, I'm chuffed for her. I mean, I don't know, will she go on again in 4 years, or does she feel it's a good time to go out or whatever? But it's amazing, and hopefully she gets a great reception when she comes home.
Yeah, I just want her to keep going because I'm figuring, given the work that she's done here so far, that she's going to take at least one of our chairs. So from a selfish point of view, I just want to keep at it, Ellen. You're doing great. Please don't take my job.
I think it's essential that Ellen continues with swimming. I agree with
that. Of course, the news round is brought to you with Gillette. Put your best face forward with their new and improved razors. Col, where are we off to next?
To the world of football, and Manchester City have suspended defender Benjamin Mendy after he was charged with sexual offences by Cheshire Police. He faces 4 counts of rape and 1 count of sexual assault dating from October 2020 until earlier this month. Mendy is due in court tomorrow. The club say they won't make further comment. Elsewhere today, Nathan Collins has earned a first senior call-up to the Republic of Ireland squad. Stephen Kenny named his 25-man selection for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers earlier this afternoon. Experienced goalkeeper Darren Randolph is among those to miss out. Ireland are away to Portugal next Wednesday before home fixtures against Azerbaijan and Serbia. Kenny was also asked today about the impact of COVID-19 on the squad. He says that in an ideal world, all players would be vaccinated, but that is not the case.
Ideally, we'd want everyone vaccinated, but players are men as individuals, and they have the right to make their own decisions, and you have to respect that as well. And so in an ideal world, we would prefer to have everyone vaccinated, and that wouldn't be an issue. But you have to respect the individual wishes.
Joe, we'll get on to the matter of personnel in that squad in a moment, but it's a little bit concerning when you consider the impact that COVID has had on the Ireland squad in particular over the course of the last 12 months, the numbers that were missing from Stephen Kenny's side. When you see that there is a reluctance on behalf of players, we'll put it that way, to perhaps get vaccinated, and the manager almost having to accept that, it's a very strange position to put your international manager in.
I hadn't heard that clip. I hadn't realised that. Yeah, it's interesting. I'd be very curious to know if there's a higher percentage of players in the dressing room who've declined to get vaccinated in comparison with the average populace. That'd be an interesting thing to know. Obviously, the take-up here has been huge. My sense of most people here is, thankfully, disinformation hasn't taken hold the way it has in some parts of the world, to the extent that most people had the good sense to say, well, I'm going to listen to people who know a hell of a lot more about this than me. I do wonder, maybe footballers are understandably paranoid about what they put in their bodies and are worried about reacting badly to a vaccine for some reason, small chances it would be. And they figure, well, I'm young and healthy and COVID won't affect me. And as we know, saw it at Newcastle, that's not always the case. Once they're not basing this very important decision on, Facebook post that their aunt shared with them, which is, full of nonsense, then I think, you got to respect personal choice. But I'd be curious, like I said, one, is it more of a thing among sports people, firstly?
It seems to be.
And secondly, the logic behind it, again, I'd be curious. I have to give people the benefit of the doubt. You assume they're making good, informed decisions and not just listening to what someone else said in the dressing room and saying, well, sod it, I'm not going to either. That kind of groupthink can take hold. I don't know what you make of it.
Yeah, I'd be slightly concerned because it's been a question that I think every top flight and even championship manager has been asked in a press conference over the last few weeks, is that, what's the vaccine situation like at your particular club? It seems a couple of outlets have made an actual point of trying to get the message out there that getting vaccinated is the thing to do, and fair play to them for that. But also what's coming back at them from the managers, and the Neil Warnock one stands out for me, is that Neil Warnock's like a 72-year-old man, I think it is, who had COVID last year, and as we all know, it affects people differently. But when you're north of 60, there is more of an inherent danger that this can affect you pretty badly. So for him to give the answer, and he said that they're irresponsible, he feels it's irresponsible to not get vaccinated. He didn't obviously name players or name how many players were involved in this.
Yeah.
But he says that it's irresponsible. And you're kind of thinking, like, yeah, if you've got an elderly manager, which Neil Warnock is, and there are others dotted around the leagues, to not get vaccinated, even if you are healthy yourself, and I understand people saying, I'm healthy, the chances of me getting this aren't great, you can still be a carrier for the thing, and you can still pass it on to somebody else. And that's what this will try and prevent.
There is the duty to the community, I think. That's one of the aspects of getting vaccinated, I think a lot of people have felt. I mean, one last point before you go to Steo. I do hope that, like, all the clubs at least have brought in proper medical people and stood there in front of the dressing room and answered all questions, concerns, and given the top medical advice, which is to get vaccinated and all the reasons to do it. I wonder as well, Rich, you think back to last year, it was a very real thing for us, but you think the footballers were still going in, they were still playing matches, their lives in some ways weren't as disrupted as others. You wonder if kind of they think, well, how big a threat was this to me? I conducted myself pretty much normally in many ways for a lot of the last 18 months. So do I really need it in the same way that people going into offices do? You wonder if that's part of it. They had a slightly different experience to us. But
they're surrounded by a load of people. Anyway, it's a story that we could spend pretty much all night on. But there is live sport here in South County Dublin this evening, because it's a huge night for Shamrock Rovers in terms of European football. They go into the second leg of their Conference League playoff with Flora Tallinn, 4-2 down after a disappointing night defensively last week in Estonia. Stephen Doyle is at Tallaght Stadium tonight, along with 3,500 other Californians for this Shamrock Rovers game. Steve, what's the lay of the land in terms of team news tonight?
Well, Richie, two changes for Shamrock Rovers. Richie Towell and Rory Gaffney have both been dropped to the bench, and coming in for them are Danny Mandroiu and Aaron Green. So the Rovers team, then it's Malice in goal. The back three of Joey O'Brien, Roberto Lopez and Sean Hoare. It's going to be Ronan Finn and Liam Scales as the wing-backs right and left. Scales, of course, playing his last match before he moves off to Celtic. And then it's Watts, Mandroiu and O'Neill in the middle, with Graham Burke playing beside Aaron Green. There's just one change on the Flora Tallinn team. It's their skipper. His name is gone from me. Martin Kusk is back in because Henrik Berg has got a bit of an ear infection apparently, so he's out of the game. But I suppose they are definitely boosted by having their club captain back. But yeah, interesting selections there by Stephen Bradley, the head coach. Richie bringing Danny Mandroiu in. He was talking a good game to the media this week. It seems he really wants to lay down a marker for getting an international call-up. Of course, he missed out in this squad that Stephen Kenny just announced, but we know he is in the international manager's plans. He's going to be here tonight as well, Stephen Kenny. So it's up to Mandroiu now. He's got the start, which he didn't get over in Estonia, to show what he can do on the European stage.
From a defensive point of view, Stephen Bradley has spoken this week a lot about their needs to tighten up and play as a unit. That very much didn't happen. It was obvious that Lee Grace's absence last week hurt them deeply. How are they going to figure for that this week?
Yeah, I think Lee Grace is arguably one of the best centre-halves in the Premier Division. I think he's the linchpin of that Rovers back three. I know Joey O'Brien is the more experienced player. Roberto Lopez anchors the back three as the central man, but I really think Lee Grace is the main man. He's also the link between that back three and Liam Scales, who, as well as defensively being so sound, he's good at getting Rovers off on a good attacking foot from a defensive platform. So having Grace there or not having him there, I think was such a big miss. Sean Hoare is a super defender, so they need a big game from him tonight. He wasn't good last week. And as well, Joey O'Brien, maybe his age is showing a little bit over the last couple of games. Like, he's 35, 36 years of age now, so maybe the bones are starting to creak a little bit. He looked a little bit off last week. And you'd have to say, I don't know if you watched the game live. I think you did, Richie. But I just felt Flora Tallinn, they weren't as good a team as Shamrock Rovers. They just made the most of Rovers' mistakes on the night, which is always what will happen in European football. I think across the board, Rovers looked like a better team. They just didn't play well. The thing is, tonight, it's a beautiful night here. As you say, there's going to be 3,500 supporters here. They've got every single motivation to get them on into this group stage. The pitch looks fantastic out there. And I just think if they get an early goal here tonight with the supporters behind them, that could really drive Rovers on here, because there's such a big prize at stake. They've already banked €1.3 million from the games before this. And if they go into the group stage, it's another €3 million. They got the champions pat, the easy pat, a handy game against an Albanian side in the last round to get them this far. So they really have to do it tonight, I think.
Yeah, 7:45 kickoff. We'll check in with Steve at regular intervals tonight on a big night for Shamrock Rovers, looking to overturn a 4-2 first leg deficit call.
Yes, they certainly are. The kick-off there, as you say, at 7:45, league race absent, as mentioned by Stephen. Also tonight as well, Tottenham must come from a goal down against Pacos de Ferreira to progress in the same competition. Elsewhere in the Europa League playoffs, Celtic currently in action. It's currently a goal apiece in their game with AZ Alkmaar. This game kicked off at 7:15, so it's in the early stages. There's been a goal apiece inside the opening 6 minutes. Kyogo Furuhashi scoring the Celtic one after 3 minutes. The hosts after equalising in the last 90 seconds or so. So that means it's 3-1 to Celtic on aggregate at the moment. Rangers, meanwhile, they're through to the group stages despite travelling with a depleted squad thanks to COVID-19. They drew 0-0 with Armenian side Alashkirch to go through 1-0 on aggregate earlier today.
I have to castigate. How's this for a bit of I'm throwing this one at you, Joe, but this is, you're going to click on this link if you get this email as well. If you get an email from Ulster Rugby with this with the title Ulster sign Carney on short-term contract, you're going to jump in on that thinking, well, this is big news, let's get involved in this. They know what they're doing. They absolutely it is. Experienced lock Michael Carney joins the province from Zebre. They can't be doing that.
Michael, I was wondering.
They cannot be like, they had me for a second. I was like, firstly he goes to Cooley Kickham's. The next stop, is just up the road. He's going to go and play for Ulster. This is amazing stuff. But Michael Carney has joined Ulster on a short-term deal. Thank you, Ulster, for that clickbait this evening. Where are we going to next, Carl? One last story, I think.
Champions League draw, perhaps, Richie. Manchester City will take on Lionel Messi's Paris Saint-Germain in the group stages of the Champions League. Pep Guardiola's side also set to face RB Leipzig and Club Brugge of Belgium. Holders Chelsea go up against Juventus, St. Petersburg and Swedish champions Malmo. Manchester United, will they have a rematch from last year's Europa League final defeat as they play Villarreal alongside Atalanta of Italy and Swiss side Young Boys. And Liverpool will face the side that knocked them out 2 seasons ago, Atletico Madrid. AC Milan and Porto also in Liverpool's group.
Joe, PSG and Man City, quickly. It had to be.
Catches the eye. Listen, it will certainly get us through the next couple of months. This all starts September 1st, so we're up and running Champions League pretty soon, and United's draw is pretty handy. Liverpool's is interesting. I think it's not a bad Champions League group draws, I have to say.
Yeah, it's going to be entertaining. Joe, we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of that evening sunshine, and Carl as well. Thank you so much for the news round this evening. With thanks to Gillette. But now, let's give you a chance to win some money.
It's the competition giving you life-changing cash. The 25k giveaway on News Talk.
This is the 25k giveaway on News Talk. Your chance to win a life-changing sum of money.